Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So I want to talk about the Rick and Michonne teaser because that's all anyone's really talking about right now. And I actually want to focus on something that I read in an article yesterday about a possible second season. And I say possible because the way it was worded on like whether or not it was going to get another season or not was a little interesting. And this is from the Hollywood Reporter. So I'm going to get into that. But first, I do want to talk about the reunion with Rick and Michonne. So before we go any further, obviously, if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this, then make sure to be a subscriber. We are going to have a little bit of a break here for about a month and a half, I'd say, where we don't have any Walking Dead content coming out on Sundays kind of thing. But obviously, they're going to be promoting the Daryl Dixon show a lot, right? Like this is basically when they're starting to promote it. So we're going to be seeing a lot of that. So any news that breaks down about that show, just any new story details, new footage and all that, obviously I will be breaking all that down. But I'm also going to be reviewing The Last of Us. That's my plan. I want to get season 1 done by the time Daryl Dixon begins. And I also want to review a couple older episodes of The Walking Dead, maybe 3 or 4 of them or something like that. Like that's sort of overall what my plan is, because I watched an episode like a month or 2 ago and I forgot just how good some of those episodes were. And there are specific episodes that I really do want to focus on. And it's not like the popular ones like Clear and all that, although I will probably review those episodes at some point. It's more like the episodes that people forget about, the episodes where it's like this big important moment happened that sort of led to something else. I want to talk about how important that was to the story and break it down and sort of do these discussions about that and really make those videos like 30 minutes, honestly, of just like, I mean, obviously I'm not going to make it that long for the sake of it being that long, but my point is I really want to go in depth on this and really give my thoughts on it. And yeah, so I'm really excited about that. So if you want to get all my Walking Dead content on that, then make sure to hit subscribe. Also, I will be playing the Walking Dead Telltale games. So if you do want to watch me play those games, I'm actually going to be playing them on Twitch. So if you want to follow me on Twitch, the link for that is in the description. My channel name is Appetite for the Dead. It's just all one word. But let's talk about this reunion here. So, I mean, first of all, the trailer yesterday obviously was insane. I still can't get over the look of this here, of the ones who live. Like, it just looks really great. It looks so clean, and it's just kind of giving me Spider-Man vibes too, a little bit, like just a little bit. Obviously, this stuff here isn't going to be the actual intro. Like, if you look at Daryl Dixon and Dead City and a lot of how they promoted those shows like months and months ago, it was very different from what we actually got from like the actual official trailers and the intros and all that. So with what we're getting right now, you know, it's very blank, it's very clean and just kind of plain, and it works, right? But there's going to be something else that definitely drops, obviously, as soon as the show does come out. And the font, though, I imagine is going to be official, though I guess they technically could still change it if they wanted to. But as soon as that first episode does drop of the show and whatever font they use for the title, obviously at that point they got to stick with it, right? The reunion between Rick and Michonne, I think, is going to be happening a lot sooner rather than later because of the pace of Dead City. And I do think the pace of what Daryl Dixon is likely going to be like. Because you got to remember, the first seasons of all of these shows really do serve as sort of a setup for the Walking Dead universe in this next arc or this next era kind of thing, right? And when you look at Dead City, I think it perfectly did that. Like, Dead City perfectly set up this next phase of The Walking Dead when you're looking at it from Maggie and Negan's point of view. And also they did some world building in terms of what's actually happening in those regions there, right? Like, we know that the Commonwealth, Alexandria and all that, are, you know, it's generally pretty safe at this point. Maggie and Negan are now, you know, a part of New Babylon. Well, Negan isn't anymore, but I don't know if he ever was, but like he's in New York City now. So they're really doing a great job at world building there. Daryl Dixon is doing, you know, a bunch of stuff in France, but there's going to be a connection made on how he actually got there. And judging by the trailer, it looks like he was actually on a cargo ship or something, and then something went wrong. And it looks like that there was running walkers or something, and he jumps off of it. There was like this big explosion or something. And yeah, he could have been near France already. He could have been somewhere nearby. I'm not entirely sure of how they're going to explain it, but you do gotta wonder, why is he on a cargo ship? Like, why is he there? That seems to be CRM related, right? Like, it seems to me that Daryl maybe found this group or was finding this connection to where Rick might be and was on this ship or whatever. And then obviously maybe he got too close and something happened. Maybe the ship intentionally blew up. I'm not entirely sure of the situation here or how he got there. Like, I really don't know how he got there. Maybe he literally just got sent there. Like, it could be one of those things where maybe he ran to the wrong people. and they sent him out there, and then he was sort of stuck out there, and then something bad happened. Like, I have no idea what the explanation is going to be, but the point is, they're world building here, and I think with Rick and Michonne, this is the next phase. Like, the Walking Dead universe has all of a sudden just felt way more expanded, but they're exploring interesting new areas, right? And Daryl Dixon is going to focus on France, Dead City focuses on New York City, and we have Rick and Michonne, which is going to focus on Philadelphia, or at least regions around there. And I will say, it is interesting, like, Rick and Michonne are in Philadelphia, like, they're so close to where Maggie and Negan are in Dead City, but obviously they haven't, like, seen each other or are aware of each other, so they are close. And that's just sort of one of those things where I think Dead City, at some point, is going to have to explain. If they never touch on the CRM stuff, they're going to have to explain why, I feel like, because they're so close together. And the reason why I say that you would have to, like, focus on that a little bit or touch on it a little bit is because, yeah, maybe you can't see the CRM. I'm not necessarily saying that, but an organization that big where it's actually called the CRM, and there's 200,000 people there. Like, people around New York City are going to know stuff, right? Like, there's going to be some awareness of that. So at some point, these shows are going to have to address the CRM. It's just, I don't know when. But again, I think these first 6 episodes really set up what our characters are up to and just sort of their lifestyles, and really almost reset the characters in a way from just where they were in the final season. That's why I think the reunion is going to be happening sooner rather than later, because I think they're going to want to reset these characters really fast. You know, they'll have to do some explaining, obviously, because episode 1, you know, we're going to see what Michonne's been up to with her group. We're going to see what Rick's up to at the CRM, and they have to address some of that. They can't just, like, completely do a full reset of the characters, but as soon as they reunite, as soon as that stuff is over, then we're just here. We're just present in this current story, and that's just where we're at going forward, right? Gimple does refer to the group that Michonne's with as nomadic, which obviously means, like, you know, not living in a specific place or anything and just traveling from place to place. And I think that's actually the perfect group for Michonne to be with, because she wants to learn so much about the CRM. This group traveling around like that is going to see so many places and learn a lot of information. There's a lot of people there. So she's probably going to know a lot because of this group, right? This group likely knows so much about a lot of different communities just around the area because of how much they travel. So I think this is actually how she connects Rick to the CRM, because, I mean, first of all, if that's going to be really tricky to do, because obviously she knows that Rick is there. She has the phone, but does the phone power on? Is there information on the phone there that could maybe, you know, show where he is or something? Maybe that's a reveal, but I actually think the green bottle at this point is likely going to explain a lot, because that bottle was, like, very visibly green. Like, just in the shot in general, when you're looking at the final episode, like, it stands out so much that I could totally see somebody finding that at some point. And you just gotta wonder who's gonna find it. Daryl at this point is not finding it. Daryl is for sure not. Dead City, maybe they go there. I just don't see it based off of kind of where the story's at right now. I think there was a chance maybe in the premiere or something if they wanted to do something small like that, but no, they're not doing anything like that for sure. Michonne is likely the one who does find it, or somebody maybe finds it from the group that she's with, and she just learned some information like that. Like, I could see that being a thing. Imagine somebody from the group finds that bottle. Michonne's asking people, like, do you know where Rick Grimes could be? Do you know who this is? Do you know about anything about this? Maybe she actually, you know, through that runs into some people who do eventually know something, and then she sees that bottle, and then she reads the note there, and maybe that note specifically tells Michonne where he is, because obviously Rick would probably write a bunch of stuff down in there, right? And so I think that's how Michonne knows to go and find him, and I think that's how she ends up in that subway tunnel, and I think that's how she gets to the Civic Republic. I mean, she could get caught at some point. I could totally see that happening, but we'll touch on that in a second. In terms of what they're going to do for Rick in the meantime, like, I think we're going to see him try to escape. We're going to see that his life is pretty miserable. Jadis is somehow going to be involved in this. There's going to be some stuff where they do touch on just, like, what she's been up to. We know that she has a lot of power now, obviously, at the CRM. So they're going to touch on some of that. Maybe her relationship with Major General Beale, if there is one. I imagine they do know of each other, right? So it's just, does Michonne, on her journey to find Rick, does she get captured and brought to a place near Rick? Like, maybe she's brought to the Civic Republic, but she's just in some place, like, on the opposite side or something like that. And Jadis is made aware of it. And is that how she's involved in the story? Does Jadis, and that's a question I guess I have for you guys, if Jadis were to find out that Michonne was actually held captive by the Civic Republic, would Jadis help Rick get to Michonne, or vice versa? Like, would she help Michonne get to Rick, or would she try to keep them separated? That's where I find it very, very hard to sort of trust her in that sense. Like, Jadis is somebody where I could see if she's made aware that Michonne is there, she might actually try to mess all of that up and actually really try to separate them, right? And Rick, if he's, maybe getting intel from her, or they're working out some plan to try and reunite them, could he even trust her? Like, obviously we know, like, Jadis can't be trusted. So I think there's going to be some issues like that in terms of their reunion, in terms of just how they get together. Like, as soon as they're at the Civic Republic anyways. And I do think that's how that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to be something where Michonne just gets to the Civic Republic and then all of a sudden she just looks around and sees Rick there, and then she's just like, oh, there's Rick. I don't see it playing out like that. I think it's going to be her held captive from trying to sneak into the Civic Republic base, because the base is supposed to be so hard to get into. There's no way Michonne's just going to get in. Like, they can't make it that easy, right? So she's probably going to get taken in and held captive somewhere, and then at that point Jadis could be made aware, or there's going to be some drama that unfolds there with Major General Beale once they find out who she is and just how that relates to Rick. And then once Rick knows that Michonne is there, there's no stopping him from going to find her, right? Like, there's no way you can stop Rick from trying to get to Michonne. So I actually wonder if that's how it's going to play out. Like, I don't think it's going to be what we're all thinking, that Michonne just goes there and finds Rick. I think Michonne's going to try to find him, but be taken captive. Rick's going to be made aware of that and then try and save her, which, again, that could be where we get a lot of the red machete Rick stuff, right? Like, if Rick is made aware that Michonne is there and she's being held captive, there's no stopping him. Like, no way. Like, he's going to find her, right? So that's why I think they're going to reunite a lot sooner rather than later. And I don't think the story is going to be built up for like this reunion in the finale or something like that. The way I kind of see it is, again, episode 1 is going to focus just on, stuff that Rick has been up to, things that Michonne's been up to. Episode 2, I think, will move the story forward by Michonne maybe finding out where he is, but maybe in the end being taken captive or something like that. We'll see some stuff with Rick, just other drama there or whatever. Episode 3, I think in that episode, they'll probably reunite. That's kind of my guess. In episode 4, like maybe they reunite at the end of 3, and then in 4, there's just more detailed info given to Rick about just like what he's missed kind of thing. In terms of RJ, like, you actually have a son. Like, were you aware that you had a son? Obviously he wasn't aware, but I also don't know, like, did he know that she was pregnant? I don't think he actually knew. So there's probably going to be some other CRM drama there as well. Episode 5, things are going to get crazier than the finale. Do they just escape then? And then that's it? They're safe. They've escaped the CRM. The CRM's defeated. Like, no, that's not going to happen. Like, for sure, the CRM aren't going to be defeated. The way I see it going, if anything, the finale is going to end with Rick and Michonne just like they've escaped, they're safe, and they're living happily ever after somewhere, right? Or maybe they go back to Alexandria and stuff. But like, again, I don't see them just in terms of filming. And again, they could have filmed these things indoors. So like, we'll never really know until we watch the show. But that's why I think there's going to be a season 2. And so this is where I want to get into some of the season 2 stuff here, because there was an article here from the Hollywood Reporter, and I was actually reading this in relation to what was actually happening with Dead City and Daryl Dixon and the renewal. But there's actually a quote here where it says, Andrew Lincoln and Danai Gurira and bows a date to be determined next year. The latter series was originally envisioned as 3 feature films, but was morphed into a 6-episode limited series that may or may not have more than 1 season in it, per sources. So remember, this is Hollywood Reporter. Just according to their sources, they don't know if it's going to have 1 or more seasons. And I'm sure they've talked to people that are in the know, right? And so I think that's kind of where it's at. I really do feel like they don't really know. Like, it might have 1 more season, or this might just be it. So I imagine the story here ends in a way where there can be a season 2, but it could also end. And so what that tells me is this first season is going to end without any reunions with Judith and all that, and Daryl and everyone, obviously. But it's probably going to end in a way where Rick and Michonne are sort of happy or just whatever, something like that. And you could technically just end their characters' stories there because now they found each other, they found Rick, and he's safe now. But you could do a season 2 because there's still a chance of reunions with all the other characters and all that. That's kind of where I see this ending, to be honest. So it's interesting to see that quote, though. I do feel like that's probably why we haven't gotten any sort of like official confirmation, because they're talking about it being a limited series. And when I say, and I always have to clarify this because, and the thing is, even when I clarify it, I still have people saying it's a limited series, it's not getting season 2. Limited series get a season 2 all the time. Like Loki, right? Loki was originally, I think it was just 6 episodes, and it's getting a season 2. So, and that's just the one example I give. There's a lot of examples like that where you have these shows that are just like a limited series, sort of small event kind of thing, like 6 episodes, and then it does really well, and they're able to do more with the story, that they'll do a season 2. So I can see, based off of where this story is going, I could see them doing a season 2. And again, that just means that it's probably going to come out 2 years later or something like that, 2 or 3 years later. Like season 2 might not be out until 2026 or 27, right? Probably 2026. I don't think they're going to want to wait that long, but like 2 years after the first season comes out, yeah, I can totally see that. I could see them doing another chapter of that and just sort of spreading it out like that and giving Daryl Dixon and Dead City the time to have like 4, 5, 6 seasons, end those shows, and then eventually sort of have the reunion. And I wonder if the title, The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, is a reference to that. If, you know, you can actually end this show, say it has a 3rd season, and that 3rd season airs in 2028, and by then all of these shows are over, you could actually have Maggie, Negan, Daryl, Carol, other characters go to The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, and it just makes perfect sense, right? You could have a final season on this show now, and I think that makes perfect sense. That could be why the name was changed, to be honest, because The Walking Dead, Rick and Michonne, really, you just focus on those 2 characters, but having a general title like this, you can have any character now appear on this show, right? And it makes sense. So anyways, I'm gonna leave it here. Post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.